a sector that's actually experiencing some kind.
There is no aspect of human life in every country throughout the world that does not face challenges. So when you say that the educational system in Nigeria is faced with challenges, you are stating the obvious. Then the question is, what precisely are we doing about it? When I say we, I mean parents, the students and pupils who are supposed to benefit from the education, the society itself, those in leadership position, I mean the government, what are we all doing about it? Because if you look at the word education, it can be traced to the root word educare, which means to bring forth. Now, from the etymology of the word education, it means every human being has certain potentials in him or her, which the process of education is supposed to bring forth. And like you said in your poetic introduction, education is actually the light that helps us to leave the world of barbarism into the world of civilization. So, in a nutshell, I can say, yes, those who say that Nigeria's educational system is facing serious challenges are stating the obvious.
So from what you described now, moving us from barbarism all the way into civilization, as it were.
Sure.
Is it possible that some people who have moved from there to civilization, they've been to school and all of that, why is it so difficult to find that people who have been through school are not able to even defend what it is that they went to that school to learn?
That's a very interesting question. You see, before I address it, I'll come indirectly. One of the fallacies people make, if we look at Nigeria as a case study for African countries, is that education came with the colonial masters, in our case, the British. That is definitely wrong. There was education in indigenous communities that eventually were cobbled together to form the colonial amalgam called Nigeria. Because if you look at all our indigenous communities, they have ways and means of imparting knowledge that is available within each community to the children.
Right.
And they comprise both formal and informal. Now, you see, part of the problem is that the education brought by the colonial masters, which now supplanted the indigenous mode of education, actually created a dichotomy between what the colonial masters are teaching the children and what the children were learning in the traditional setting. If you read through some of the books of late Professor Chinua Achebe, for example, The Arrow of God, you will see that essential tension between the education that was existing before the colonial masters came and then the education the colonial masters brought in through the instrumentality of the missionaries. If you recall, the first educational institutions that were set up when the British landed, particularly in the southern part of Nigeria, were actually done by the missionaries. So, and what baffles me is that people fail to question the assumption that the education that was brought by the British is in every material particular superior to the ones we had before. We just simply accepted totally
Hook, line, and sinker.
the denigration of the achievements of